Most people shopping for a mid-sized SUV right now are about to make a $40,000 mistake, and they don't even know it. Not because they're not doing research, not because they're not reading reviews, but because the showroom floor doesn't show you the score. And in 2026, the scoring gap between the average mid-size SUV and the exceptional ones has never been wider. Here's the truth that dealership won't put on the window sticker. Out of every single mid-size SUV on sale in America right now, and there are more than 30 of them fighting for your money, only 3 have managed to break above a 9.0 out of 10 in US News and World Report's overall rankings, which factor in road test performance, reliability, safety, cargo space, ownership costs, and real-world value. Just 3. In a class crowded with familiar names, trusted brands, and million-dollar marketing budgets, only 3 actually scored the grades that prove they are worth your money. Today, we're counting them down from 3rd place to the single highest-rated mid-size SUV you can buy in 2026. And I promise you, the one sitting at number 1 is going to reframe everything you thought you knew about buying smart in this segment. Before we dive in, if you are new to this channel and you want brutally honest, data-driven car content that protects your wallet before it protects anybody else's, hit that subscribe button right now. We publish every week, and we do not work for any automaker or any dealership. This is pure information. Now, let's get into it. Number 3. The 2026 Toyota Grand Highlander. Starting at number 3, and this one already scored higher than nearly every other 3-row SUV on the market, is the 2026 Toyota Grand Highlander, with a US News overall score of 9.0 out of 10. And before you say, "I already know Toyota makes good cars," I need you to understand something. Knowing a brand has a good reputation is completely different from knowing why a specific vehicle earned a 9.0. Those are 2 entirely separate things. Because there are also Toyotas on the market right now scoring 7.8 and 8.1. The badge alone doesn't put points on the board. The vehicle's actual performance does. So what did the Grand Highlander actually do to earn a 9.0? First, consider the cargo situation, because this is where most 3-row SUV buyers get quietly punished. You buy a 3-row SUV thinking you're getting space for the whole family, plus all their stuff. Then you fold all 3 rows and realize the cargo area is a cruel joke. The Grand Highlander refuses to play that game. Consumer Reports named the Toyota Grand Highlander the best mid-size SUV of 2026 in their annual Top 10 picks, a list that subjects vehicles to more than 50 separate tests before a single model even qualifies for consideration. And one of the reasons it made that list is because behind the 3rd row, you get 20.6 cubic feet of cargo space. Max it out with the 2nd and 3rd rows folded, and you're looking at 97.5 cubic feet. To put that in perspective, Toyota engineers demonstrated at a press preview that you could stack 7 small rollerboard suitcases in that cargo area with the 3rd rows still up, not collapsed, still up. 7 suitcases. That's the difference between a vehicle that talks about family practicality and one that actually delivers it. Under the hood, the 2026 Grand Highlander runs a turbocharged 2.4-litre 4-cylinder engine, producing 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Once you get it out on the open highway, every reviewer who has driven it agrees on one word: composed. It is smooth, whisper-quiet at speed, and handles road imperfections like they barely exist. In tighter city environments, it does feel like the large vehicle it actually is. Parallel parking is not its happy place, but its lane stability and highway confidence are best in class for what it costs. And what it costs is important, because the Grand Highlander starts at a price point that puts it squarely in the mainstream mid-size SUV market, not the luxury category. You are getting near luxury space and near luxury composure. That is a value equation that a 9.0 score reflects accurately.
But here's the detail that matters most for anyone who takes a long-term view of car ownership, and you should always take a long-term view. Consumer Reports data, pulled from surveys of over 380,000 real vehicle owners, shows the Grand Highlander holds up. It is not a vehicle that earns a great road test score and then falls apart the moment the warranty runs out. That combination of initial quality and sustained reliability is exactly the kind of thing that protects your resale value 3 years down the road. The vehicles that do not have that combination are the ones that quietly hemorrhage value the moment you drive them off the lot. The Grand Highlander doesn't do that. 9.0, well earned. Now, before we get to number 2, I want you to notice something. Every vehicle on this list tonight has one thing in common that the vehicles scoring below 8.5 do not. They make no significant compromises, not one. Every category where a buyer should expect excellence – cargo, safety, reliability, driving experience and value – these 3 vehicles deliver. The ones that didn't make this list almost always had one area where the data told a completely different story from the marketing. Keep that in mind. Number 2 on the list scores a 9.3 out of 10, and that 0.3 of a point gap above the Grand Highlander represents a meaningful real-world difference in how this vehicle competes across the board.
Number 2, the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe. This is the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe, and if you are already sleeping on this SUV because you think Hyundai is a budget brand, that thinking is costing you money right now. Here is what the Santa Fe does that almost nothing else in its price range can claim. It enters 2026 as a freshly redesigned vehicle. New proportions, new powertrain lineup, new technology architecture. And it walked straight into US News rankings with a 9.3, landing it among the finalists for the Best 3-Row SUV for the Money Award. The redesigned body is boxier, more upright, and as a result, more useful. The third row in the previous Santa Fe was a place you sent people you were slightly annoyed with. The redesigned 2026 version actually fits adults back there in a way that rivals costing $10,000 more cannot match. On the powertrain side, the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe runs a 2.5-litre turbocharged inline-4, producing 277 horsepower. That is a number that deserves respect because it means the Santa Fe is not sacrificing performance at the altar of fuel economy. It is doing both. And both available configurations, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, come with multiple drive modes, so whether you're dealing with a rainy interstate, a snowy morning school run, or a gravel road at the edge of a state park, the Santa Fe shifts its character to match the situation. Tow capacity sits at 4,500 pounds when properly equipped, which covers the vast majority of what families actually tow: a small boat, a utility trailer, a pop-up camper. But here is the part that separates smart buyers from everyone else in this transaction. The 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe comes backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Read that number again. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Every single luxury brand in this segment, the ones with the premium badges and the premium prices, cannot touch that coverage. You're not just buying a 9.3 scored midsize SUV, you're buying a decade of powertrain protection. That is not a perk, that is a financial decision that directly affects your total cost of ownership, your stress level over the lifetime of the vehicle, and your peace of mind every single time an unfamiliar sound comes from under the hood. When you have 10 years of powertrain coverage, that sound almost never matters. One owner who switched from a competitor 3-row SUV to the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe put it plainly. They said the interior felt more premium than vehicles they had driven with $10,000 higher sticker prices, and that the technology integration, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, available UVC sanitizing compartment, digital key 2 that lets you lock and start the vehicle from your smartphone, felt less like feature checkboxes and more like a vehicle genuinely designed around how modern families actually live.
That is exactly the kind of sentiment that pushes a vehicle from 8.8 to 9.3 on an evaluation this thorough. 9.3 out of 10. The Santa Fe didn't score there by accident. If you're getting real value from this breakdown so far and you want more content like this every week, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It tells us you want more of this and it costs you literally nothing. Now let's talk about the vehicle that scored higher than every midsize SUV on sale in America today. Number 1. The highest rated midsize SUV in the country right now is not a secret. It has been dominating this category for multiple years, and in 2026 it did not relent.
Number 1. The Kia Telluride. This is the Kia Telluride with a US News overall score of 9.5 out of 10. And the number that matters is not the 9.5, the number that matters is the gap. 2 full points above the class average, which sits around 8.3 to 8.5 depending on the segment configuration. 2 points in an evaluation this comprehensive is not a margin, it is a statement. Here is what gets lost in conversations about the Telluride, because the discussion often devolves into people comparing it to its Hyundai Palisade cousin on the same platform. The Telluride earned a 9.5 specifically because no category dragged it down. Every other mid-size SUV that tried to compete at this level had at least one area where the data forced the score down: reliability concerns, infotainment issues, cargo compromises, ride quality trade-offs. The Telluride had none of those anchors. According to Kelley Blue Book's independent expert evaluation, the Telluride earned 4.8 out of 5 stars, placing it at the top of KBB's always updated best midsize SUV rankings for 2026 and carrying forward from 2025 with zero regression in any category. Now let's talk about what this vehicle actually does in the real world, because a score is only as meaningful as the experience it represents. The Telluride runs a 3.8-litre V6 engine, producing 291 horsepower. In a segment where most competitors are downsizing to 4-cylinder turbos, Kia kept the naturally aspirated V6, and owners consistently report that the engine note, the power delivery, and the throttle linearity of that V6 feels more honest and more confidence-inspiring than the turbo alternatives. It does not need boost pressure to build before power arrives. You press the throttle and the power is simply there. That is a driving experience difference that no spec sheet captures, but every driver feels within the first 10 minutes behind the wheel. Towing capability on the Telluride tops out at 5,500 pounds, which is the highest in its class among the 3 vehicles on this list, and it puts the Telluride in towing territory usually reserved for vehicles with far more aggressive powertrains. The 3 rows of seating are genuinely usable for adults across all 3 rows. Interior materials across all trim levels feel like they belong in a vehicle costing considerably more. The available technology suite includes a 12.3-inch touchscreen with wireless smartphone integration, a premium audio system, and a suite of driver assistance features that US News specifically cited as being more comprehensive at the standard level than most competitors offer even as optional upgrades. But here is what actually separates the Telluride from everything else in this countdown, and why the 9.5 is not just a current score, but a prediction about your financial future. Consumer Reports reliability data, sourced from over 380,000 actual vehicle owners, shows the Telluride holding up over time in a way that directly protects its resale value. Vehicles with this kind of sustained reliability profile do not crater on the used car market. They do not show up at auction with depreciation numbers that make the original owner look like they threw money out the window. They hold their value, which means the day you decide to sell or trade, your equity position is real. For a family vehicle that likely represents one of the largest financial commitments in your household, that matters enormously. The Telluride is also no longer the best-kept secret in this segment. It regularly wins awards for families, for money, for overall excellence. US News gave it the Best 3-Row SUV for the Money Award and the Best 3-Row SUV for Families Award for 2025, and it entered 2026 with those reputational benchmarks intact.
A reviewer at US News who has driven nearly every competitor in this segment described the Telluride as more capable than most shoppers will expect, even when it ventures off the pavement. That last part is worth pausing on. Most mid-size SUV buyers never test the off-road capability of their vehicles, but knowing it exists, knowing the vehicle can handle more than a parking lot or a light trail, adds a layer of confidence and versatility that changes how you use the vehicle. The Telluride delivers that without requiring a specialty trim or an off-road package. It is simply built that way. 9.5 out of 10. The highest score in its class, and if you're shopping for a mid-size SUV in 2026 and you walk past this vehicle at the dealership without stopping, you're leaving quality on the table. Not potential quality, not promising quality, documented, tested, independently verified quality across every dimension that matters to the family that will actually live inside this vehicle for the next 7 years. So let's bring this together. In a class with more than 30 competitors, 3 mid-size SUVs scored above 9.0 in 2026. The Toyota Grand Highlander at 9.0, named Consumer Reports' Best Mid-sized SUV of the Year, offering cargo practicality that redefined what a 3-row family vehicle can do with your luggage. The Hyundai Santa Fe at 9.3, arriving freshly redesigned with a decade of powertrain warranty coverage that makes every competitor's ownership terms look embarrassingly thin. And the Kia Telluride at 9.5, the undisputed champion of this class, holding a score no competitor has matched, backed by reliability data from 380,000 real owners and delivering a driving experience that makes its price look like a favour. Here's the question I want you to answer in the comments right now. If you had to pick one of these 3 vehicles today, the Grand Highlander, the Santa Fe, or the Telluride, which one would it be and why? Drop your answer below, and if you're currently driving a mid-size SUV that didn't make this list, tell us which one it is and whether you wish you had made a different choice. Those real-world stories are the most valuable thing in this comment section. And if this video gave you information you couldn't have gotten walking into a showroom, share it with someone who is currently shopping for their next family SUV. You might save them from spending $40,000 on a vehicle that scored a 7.9 when 3 vehicles in the same price range scored above 9.0. That is not a small difference. That's the difference between a vehicle that rewards you for buying it and one that quietly makes you regret it every single time the repair bill shows up. Thank you for watching. I'm Atif, stay smart, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.